And good day, everybody. We're at August 5th, 2025. We're going to talk about your Santa Clarita real estate update. I have a couple tips for sellers out there, prospective sellers, and of course, buyers. But today, as we get to Tuesday of August, the first Tuesday in August, we're going to see that real estate inventory hasn't moved very much. We're at 810 real estate listings as of this morning, about 7:35 Pacific Standard Time. Of those listings, we have single family residences, condominiums, townhomes. We do notice that over the last couple months, we do have a longer days on market time frame. It's taking longer for sellers to get their property sold, even when they're priced right. In some circumstances, you might have a seller that owns a unicorn type property. I had one of those recently in Circle J Ranch. The property just had amenities in a location situated in such a way that it was incredibly rare in comparison to the properties that it might be competing with. It didn't have an HOA. It was single story. It was laid out very nicely. It was able to be converted to an open floor plan with the ability to remove a wall that wasn't required for the internal. God, what is that called? It didn't have it wasn't necessary to have the wall there. They were able to remove it. You know what? That's just crazy the way you just can't remember things. What is that? A load bearing wall, right? So they had one that you could remove so that it opened up that floor plan. In addition to that, there was a large lot. The lot itself had a swimming pool, but then it also had a large grassy area, plus RV parking, plus at the end of a cul-de-sac, plus no rear neighbors. Yeah, there you go. There's your unicorn property. So pricing that property really was secondary to the exposing of it in the proper way with the Matterport 3D virtual tour and the way that the social media campaigns were put together for it, attracting a lot of buyers that were looking for that gated RV parking, that were looking for single story, usually the older type folks, and that's what it ended up selling to. In addition to that, mostly empty nesters, I think, were the majority of the people looking in that realm. And then you have entertainment area for the grandkids. So then that was something that was mentioned to me frequently when I was hosting that house as being open. So that being the case, if you have that unicorn property, it's definitely a different animal than your run-of-the-mill garden variety real estate listing that you'll see popping up from time to time online. Talking about the last 7 days in Santa Clarita Valley, we have 6 properties that have been posted as coming soon. 82 new listings have hit the market this week. 107 properties have had their prices changed. 27 properties have gone back on the market. These are properties that have fallen out of escrow, coming back on the market as being for sale. This happens in about a third of the cases of properties that go into escrow actually come back on the market. The reason for this could be many. A lot of people seem to think it has to do with the residence itself. And for the most part, you'd be surprised that's not true. It usually is a buyer thing. Not that the buyers changed their mind, but the buyers went and did something detrimental to them being able to close escrow. What might that be? Well, they go out and they pay something off. Believe it or not, something as simple as paying off a line of credit or a credit card could cause the FICO score to drop. You would think it would have the opposite effect, but it's not true. So even something that ridiculous, causing somebody to be able to lose the financing of a transaction as they're in escrow, my word to you, when you're in escrow or anytime you're preparing to purchase a property, once you start thinking about it, after you've had a talk with your lender, the real estate lender that you're going to be using, then after that point, any change, any modification, paying things off, paying a little bit more, letting something lapse, maybe, whatever it may be, make sure before you do any of these things, you speak with your lender. And then after you get them on the phone, you talk to them about it. Maybe that's not your way. Maybe it's a text message. Maybe it's email. But always have that written confirmation of what they told you. Super important. And you know what? You're not doing anything wrong by doing this. You're not calling anybody out. But it's important that you follow up with them so you completely understand it. And so it's in writing. Watching this video, it's been concreted. This video is going to be out there probably till the end of time. And the 2 people that love to watch it will probably be watching it. That's it. But ultimately, this is the record. You want something similar from them besides just you speaking with them on the telephone, of course, unless the phone call is recorded. But then you have privacy issues there, which could create problems. I always suggest you follow up with them, say, listen, I know we had a conversation today. Thank you very much. I am going to be paying off my JCPenney credit card. I just wanted to make sure that was okay. It's not going to impact me, as you said it wouldn't. And I just want to make sure I understood correctly. Then they'll fire back, yeah, that's going to be fine. So if anything happens, there's some accountability there. Without doing that, you're not going to have that. Not that they're going to come back and say, well, I never said it was okay for you to pay that off. But, human beings. So instead of being surprised or shocked, do as I do and just expect everybody to be who they are. And you might not know who they are at the beginning. It might not play out till a little bit later and deeper into the transaction, but just expect that to be the case. Everybody's not you. Everybody's not me, so on and so forth. We might align ourselves with people that are like-minded, but as you know, if you're at least, halfway through your life as I am, not halfway, we'll back that out a little bit. But if you're at that point, you know that disappointment happens and you expected somebody to be one way and then all of a sudden they're a different way, and that's family. So you move into the real estate world or the service industry world, and yeah, you're going to see that fall apart a lot. So just be wary for that, accept it. You don't have to like it, but understand that things will happen, and the best way to do it isn't going backwards, but getting back up, dusting yourself off, and moving forwards. All right, so back on market properties, as I said, we're 27. 31 properties have gone into escrow. 44 have gone pending, which is a deeper status of escrow. The properties aren't showing up as wanting backup offers or any further showings. 62 properties closed this week, 13 expired, 23 canceled, 16 have been put on hold, and 14 withdrawn. So that was my buyer tip, talking about how the market is evolving and you not wanting to go out and do anything credit-wise that's going to interrupt your flow. On the seller point, talking about those unicorn properties, if you have something like that, you definitely want to follow up with an agent that knows how to handle that type of property, understanding the current buyer drive. And even for the regular, normal, run-of-the-mill garden variety, gotta love that, sellers out in the world, you're also going to want to team up with an agent that understands both the unicorn portion, how those properties are marketed and sold, and then also the regular tract homes, which yours might be special in its own regard with what you've done to it, how you've maintained it in comparison with your neighbors. But another thing for a seller to look at, something that's not talked about a lot, is your competition. That's huge. So if you don't have any other properties, which is very common, that are for sale in your neighborhood, that don't at least match up with yours, or maybe they're totally absent from that entire builder, there's nothing there available, well, then you might be in a really super awesome position to sell. Understand, though, once a property like yours goes on the market, then you're going to see boop, boop, boop. You're going to see a few others pop up for sale as well. And then those 3 or 4 properties might all be chasing the market because they want to get it sold now. My rule of thumb is always more sooner than later is better, depending on the market, and that is that type of market right now. I don't see anything happening with the Fed as far as the major Fed funds rate coming down, which could ultimately affect the mortgage rate, but that 10-year bond, it fluctuates. So we see those mortgage rates coming up and going down, but find out where you are currently with that, and then maybe ask your lender a question as a buyer. If the rates happen to come down while I'm in the process of purchasing, is it something that you could do to be able to adjust my rate lower, or do I have to wait to refinance? And then ask that question to a couple different ones and see what the difference is. I've heard of lenders doing such a thing. But again, that's something you're going to have a conversation with them about. Don't beat everybody up over what they're making. Look at their performance in the transaction, because that's going to really be the big differentiation point between service providers, whether it's on the real estate end or the lending end. Thank you so much for watching. This is Tuesday's update. We'll be back tomorrow with our Hump Day broadcast. I hope everybody's well. You can go to Santa Clarita openhouses.com. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll see my Zoom Me SCV.com calendar. You can hook up with me there, schedule an appointment. We'll talk about what you're thinking about doing in real estate, and then maybe offering you some other thoughts and suggestions that you haven't thought about. I've been doing this since 1998, so maybe I'll be able to shed some light on that whole process. Be well, everybody. I'm Connor with Honor, Santa Clarita openhouses.com, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.